My name is Zachary Kagunda. I work for an organization called Act Change Transform. It's based in Nairobi, Kenya.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Cate Broussard, and I'm working with the Life and Peace Institute, like Shimi, who presented earlier. Life and Peace Institute, as Shimi mentioned, is an international peace-building organization. Our head offices are in Sweden, but we have offices in Bukavu, DRC, Nairobi, Mogadishu, Khartoum, and our regional Horn of Africa office in Addis Ababa. And it was in that office that we designed this initiative together with ACT, ACT Change Transform Kenya, EASI, the East African Sub-Regional Support Initiative for the Advancement of Women, and Inter-Africa Group. These four partners came together to design a project that would support people from the borderlands of the Horn of Africa to engage with policymaking at the regional level to improve cross-border cooperation, which is what's really essential because these populations are some of the continent's most politically, socially, economically marginalized. And it was through policymaking that we decided to try to make a systemic impact in the region to affect millions of lives. So we came together to design this project. And essentially, we'd be working in 3 borderlands. You learned a lot about Busia earlier. It's on the border between Kenya and Uganda. We're also working in Moyale on the border between Ethiopia and Kenya, and Kassala, which is on the border of Sudan and Eritrea. And we, together with our 4 partners, we found 26 local civil society organizations, community-based organizations, traders associations that work in these border areas, and began a 2-year intensive process of deeply working with them to prepare their voices and their stories to advocate at the African Union level. So traditional policy engagement advocacy. That's the beating heart of this program. But because we've worked in policy engagement for a long time, we know it's a really hard and long road to policy change. So we started to try to mix up our strategies to see if we could try things that could be catalytic and start to increase political will for policy change. So we thought, could we use different kinds of technologies as tools for policy engagement? And so we came up with an idea to see if we could use virtual reality and create a simulation of a border crossing that we could bring into the boardrooms of Addis and the other kind of capitals in the region to see if policymakers, if they sat down and put on a headset and could experience what it felt like to be a woman trader crossing a border, the frustration, the fear, the violence, everything that women go through every day. If those policymakers could be immersed in that experience, could they have the empathy that would kind of catalyze their political will to take action? Just to say, when policymakers, if they ever go to an actual border crossing, usually they're flying, if they ever do, the red carpet's rolled out for them, everything is clean, they don't see how reality is on the ground. So we thought if we could bring them that experience through a headset, the hypothesis was that maybe that could be catalytic in addition to policy engagement and the mapping that we did. So it was a really cool idea. It was our hypothesis, and it turned out to be kind of challenging in the end.
Act Change Transform is a lead to bringing the idea to life, but it has been challenging to bring the realities of the borderlands, and especially from the Horn of Africa, right to the offices and boardrooms of policy-making offices. Like you can see, this is one photo which we captured while we are heading to Moyale. Moyale, it's a border between Ethiopia and Kenya, and that gentleman could not understand. Maybe he couldn't understand us. And like in this case, maybe some of us, we might not understand what you're talking about, the facial reality. But we are talking about immersive simulation of that personifies the real, our world. So we encountered some challenges. The first challenge was, in Kenya, the facial reality, it's relatively new. And it was challenging to get people to understand what facial reality is. Second, development of the facial reality this simulation, development of the virtual reality simulation, it's quite expensive. Could it be maybe it's a new technology back in Kenya? And also maybe it could be we have few developers for the virtual reality. That we had to get the virtual reality developers to travel over 1,000 kilometers from Nairobi to go to the northern Kenya and the western Kenya so that they get to collect the visual content so that they can be in a position to develop the virtual reality in a securitized border. With all these challenges which I have highlighted, the virtual reality developers whom we had consulted, they were only to come up with what we call the 3D video. The problem with 3D video was that first, it couldn't bring about the element of, immersion or empathy, so that when it's being presented to the policymakers, they can feel, they can feel what the borderlanders go through. And second, they couldn't be in a position to protect the visual image of the borderlanders. Now we are on the second round of engaging the consultant, and we still believe that with use of this tool, the virtual reality, it can be an option to complement our effort toward supporting the consortium of the borderlanders toward advocating for the borderland policies, regional policies that could facilitate cross-border collaboration. This is some of the policymakers in Moyale when we had come together, and you can also follow us under the Bridging African Borders. Now, we believe maybe some of you have undertaken the similar projects, especially in relation to the virtual reality and policy engagement, and we are only here to learn. So if you have done similar projects, we would love to talk to you so that we see how we can help each other. Cate and myself, we are so happy for listening to us, and if you have time, you can just be in a position to talk to us, and we see how we can help each other toward delivering this wonderful project. Thank you.